head coach, Brett Tanner, coming off the big win over Lamar. Just talk about that defensive intensity at the beginning of the game, because it just felt like you guys were locked in and just were clicking on every cylinder.
Yeah, we challenged these guys, this week after coming off of a tough loss, last week at Sam Houston, and where a lot of things went wrong, and we talked about a bunch of different things, scenarios that could have helped us win that game, but ultimately it came down to us not having a bunch of defensive intensity in the first half in Huntsville. And so we challenged those guys today to come out with some defensive intensity. I told them, we did everything we did, and we talked about our first set we were going to run and all that, and right before they went out on the floor for tip-off, I grabbed them and I said, turn them over. First possession, turn them over. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we did. And when we do that, we've done that 4 or 5 times. Games, maybe not this big, but all of them have turned into double-digit wins. And so, I was proud of them, and I'm even more proud of the fact that they didn't have a letdown. It's really easy in a game like that to kind of let down, especially when you start emptying the bench and doing some things. And we continued that defensive intensity. Of those 37 turnovers we forced, I think, 6 or 7 of them were down in the last few minutes. And that was those guys coming in and continuing to play hard. And even that deflection that Stevie had right there at the end that went out of bounds. So I'm super proud of those guys, but especially the way we started the game.
Well, and just talk about, all these games are really important now. You're starting to try to jockey for positioning for the tournament, and talk about that.
Yeah, every game is the biggest game of the year because it's the next one. Our biggest game of the year now is at SFA on Saturday. And we talked about that this week. And to us, it's not. And again, I talked earlier in the media today or this week about. If coaches sit here and say they don't look at the standings and all that, they're lying to you. Of course we do, right? We try not to talk about that with our team, but we also know that they look at it too. It's just something that kind of goes unspoken. We just don't talk about it with each other. But ultimately, really, what we're trying to do is just finish the right way. You want to go into the conference tournament on a high note, playing well. And that's what we're trying to make sure. When we lost last week, it's okay to lose games. But we didn't want to lose 2 in a row. And we didn't want to lose at home. And so I think what we did tonight was we did a good job of continuing that momentum that we've built. I think that's 7 out of 8, something like that. That's we want to continue that. And so we need to continue. We got 2 out of 3 home, and we want to make sure that we finish these things the right way.
And you talked about your next game. That's a really good test and a really good game to get you ready for the tournament.
Sure. SFA's really good. I think they won tonight in a tough battle with Sam Houston. And we had we've always had really tough games with SFA. But I've been vocal about this all year. Every game in the WAC is a tough game. Every team is good enough to beat you. Lamar is good enough to beat us. We just came out and with some defensive intensity to start the game tonight. We kind of forced them into a hole, and they just never could recover. But every single game is a big game. But yeah, SFA is always a tight game, usually. And I would expect nothing less on Saturday in Nacogdoches.
Collin Mason did surpass 1,000 points tonight. If you just want to talk about him and what he's meant to this program and just what he really brings to you guys on the court.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him, man. And 1,000 points is a big deal, especially in 3 years. He did that. He did that. Well, I guess 4 years now. But the fact that he came here and he scored a lot of those points here. I think in year 1, he only had like 100 and some points or something like that. And to do what he's done here at ACU has been incredible. And it's not about the points. I was shocked this week when I found out that he was 6 points away from 1,000 points because of all the other stuff he does for us. He's out there tonight and we're up by 31 points and he takes a charge. That's who he is, and so you can't turn him off. As much I've tried. I've tried to turn him off, and we just can't. And so I'm so proud of him, his teammates. That's who we are. Cash, our program, man. And these guys love on each other. They're just as excited for him as we are, And he had no clue. He had no clue, man. And so I'm glad that he did it. Now we can put that behind us, and I'm sure that he's probably close to some other things, other milestones as well.
The soundbite we used this week from the presser was you saying we got to figure out how we do when our backs are not against the wall. Tonight, you got that lead early, and the foot seemed like it stayed on the gas pedal. How big an emphasis was that for you guys?
Yeah, that was our emphasis all week. We talked about that a bunch, and we talked about it at halftime, and I think we were up. I don't know what we were up at halftime, 20-something or whatever. But we went in there, we treated it like a regular halftime. It wasn't okay, we're good, let's not lose. We talked about some things that we did not do well. We talked about some sets that we didn't run the way we were supposed to. We talked about some of our defensive assignments that we missed. And I think it was just on my part too, not getting comfortable, and making sure that they were still uncomfortable, And we came out, we changed our starting lineup just in the second half because we felt like we were getting a little more from one player than the other. That's not a knock. I mean, that's a player that does a lot of good stuff for us. But we wanted to make sure that we were continuing to push the pedal, and we talked about all the way up to the last media at the 4-minute mark. And so I am happy. It does give me a little bit of relief, that we were able to do that. And now we got to see if we can go out there and build a lead again against somebody else on Saturday.
A couple weeks back, when you put Tobias into the starting lineup, you said it was for energy. You thought he provided that. I mean, tonight in the first couple minutes, immediately 2 steals, he did 2 dunks. What did you see from him? Right?
Same thing, man. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't real. He made some silly mistakes, late in the first half, but. Ultimately, that's why we do start him. It's energy, man. He comes out, and you got to take the good with the bad. He's very similar to Arion. They're both together, and so that's why early in the year I didn't start them together. But then, why not, dude? Let's just go out there, and if that's when we score off our defense, we're really good, and we're tough to beat. And so I think starting those 2 guys, especially when Tobias jumped in that lineup offensively, we got better, but it wasn't really our offense; it was our defense. Now, teams that take care of the basketball, it can be a little dangerous, because we're gonna be gambling and doing some things. And I tell them all the time, don't be afraid to make mistakes. This time of the year is when we tell them take the rule book and throw it in the trash, and that's music to Tobias's ears. You know what I mean? So he lights up when I say that. Last year when I said it, he started running around the gym. And I pulled that out this week. It's time to take the rule book and throw it in the trash. None of that stuff matters anymore, man. It's about going in there and trying to win games and flying around and being crazy. And Tobias is one of the best at that.
So you have 3 games left. What's the mindset heading into SFA on Saturday and the following games next week?
Yeah, we don't talk about the following games. You know what I mean? We talk about SFA now, and we didn't talk about SFA all week, and that's hard to do sometimes, but it's really about the next game, and we talked about it early in the year. It's to get better every game, and we're still trying to do that. But we do know we're not, we do understand that we're getting closer to the end, and we do understand that each game means more. But the biggest thing, and I just said it on the radio, is that we can't look at what happened tonight. Who won here and who won here and who won here. All we can do is control what we can control. And if we win out, which means we control what we can control, then we're going to be in a pretty good spot. And so we can't do that if we don't win on Saturday. And so we've got to focus on winning the game on Saturday.